disaster opportunists, which is exactly right. Disaster tourists.
There are government employees that are still waiting for paychecks, back paychecks months ago.
Yeah.
You know, what are the odds that they're going to get paid quickly for this Harry and Meghan visit?
You're in America now, and we don't give a shit about you. You're not our prince. You'll never be king. We hate your wife. Stay at home in your $29 million mansion, all right?
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry may no longer be working royals, but their recent trip to Nigeria looked very much like a royal tour of their own.
This is a pattern for her. It's not about charity. It's about her image.
You've had the Duke and Duchess of Montecito running around like a rival royal family, trashing their family, trashing the monarchy.
This is the same woman who said, I never even considered my blackness until the British tabloids started to make a thing out of it. Now she's like, I am Nigeria. Fellow women, hear me roar.
But wanting to exploit their royal titles, I think it stinks. And I think what King Charles should do, he should just strip them of the titles. Let them go off and be, celebrities, that's fine. But don't do it in the name of our royal family.
Buckle up. This isn't just another royal cold shoulder. It's a full-on international slap in the face. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle just got hit with a harsh diplomatic curveball. Nigeria, the very nation they recently embraced as their so-called second home, has shut the door on a return visit. Flat out denied.
She was an actress. She's not anymore. She basically travels around the world smiling and making sort of, happy faces and meeting people.
And trust us, the reasons behind it, they're as shocking as they are telling. This isn't just a no thanks. It's a loud, public no way. So what happened? Why the sudden change of heart? Let's break down how the Sussexes went from welcome guests to persona non grata, real quick.
So many of the locals are enraged over the fact that their government is going to be paying for the security of Harry and Meghan.
It all kicked off with a clear, calculated no from one of Africa's most influential nations. And make no mistake, this wasn't your average diplomatic brush-off. We're not talking about a scheduling conflict or a maybe next time email. This was a formal rejection straight from Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Harry and Meghan, I don't know if this is a royal tour. They're not working royals, are they? But they're not politicians or pop stars. What exactly are they doing touring Nigeria in the first place, Kinsey?
Verified sources confirmed that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle officially requested a second visit to the country, looking to expand on what they described as a warm and transformative experience. But instead of rolling out the red carpet, Nigeria slammed the door shut. And behind that rejection, a growing concern that this feel-good tour wasn't just about cultural connection, it may have had deeper, destabilizing intentions. Let's unpack that.
Many Nigerians were thinking, well, this is a bit of a waste of public money. This is not like we're courting a state that can help us with resources. This is kind of like a faux royal couple that are there to kind of boost their image.
During their first visit back in 2024, the Sussexes were welcomed with open arms. But this time, Nigeria didn't just hesitate, they flat out refused. And let's be clear, this isn't tabloid speculation. This was a calculated move, a deliberate act of diplomatic resistance. According to insiders, Nigerian officials made it crystal clear there was no compelling national interest in approving another unofficial Sussex tour. That phrase alone, it speaks volumes.
For one reason, to get their faces back on camera and to improve their image. They want people to think well of them, so they decide what they really need? Us. What they need is us.
In simple terms, Nigeria saw no value, not politically, not economically, not culturally, in rolling out the welcome mat again. The government wasn't interested in another camera-ready display of pseudo-royalty. They weren't here for the photo ops, the staged handshakes, or the carefully curated impact moments. This isn't some minor blip on the international radar. Nigeria isn't just any country. It's Africa's most populous nation and a heavyweight in the global economy. So when Abuja puts the Sussexes on ice, it sends a loud, unmistakable signal. The world is growing weary of the ongoing Sussex spectacle.
Thanks for the basketball court. I just think that all they do is talk, and very little action.
And now let's get into why that rejection hit so hard. One of the biggest sore spots, their first visit. Many Nigerians saw it as more performative than meaningful, something crafted more for headlines than genuine connection. The moment that really lit the fuse, Meghan Markle standing before a cheering crowd and announcing that she'd just discovered she was 43% Nigerian, courtesy of a mail-ordered DNA test.
But Meghan, of course, did a genealogy test and looked into her heritage of Nigerian.
Right, and Thomas Markle said he was surprised to find out Meghan was 43% Nigerian because he's always felt she was 100% Californian.
It wasn't exactly the mic drop moment she thought it would be. The applause, not universal. For many, it felt like a hollow gesture, one that reduced deep cultural identity to a genetic percentage on a test kit. What Meghan got in return for her big reveal? Side eyes, mockery, and a wave wave of academic outrage. Cultural leaders and historians across Lagos, Abuja, and beyond didn't hold back. They called it exactly what it was: ancestral cosplay.
Who just went off on these, what did she call them? Queen's husband was dying, and she went on Oprah and suggested one or both of them are raging racists. She couldn't have cared less. She doesn't care about anyone other than herself, and I include Harry in that. She cares about her image. That's why she's there.
Meghan wore traditional Nigerian fabrics, danced at ceremonial events, and posed with tribal elders. But critics pointed out that it all felt surface level. There was little to no genuine engagement with the deep historical, political, or cultural fabric of the country. One Nigerian historian put it bluntly, "You don't get to wrap yourself in African identity only when it suits your brand." And behind the scenes, things weren't much smoother. According to insiders from Nigeria's security services, that first Sussex visit was nothing short of a logistical nightmare. Despite being private citizens with no official backing from any government, Harry and Meghan reportedly arrived in Nigeria expecting royal-level treatment. Sources say they requested everything, from motorcades and private luxury suites to full media setups and ceremonial escorts. All the fanfare with none of the official status.
They felt like she dressed inappropriately throughout the tour. She changed clothes multiple times a day. And you're right, the objective was to look like she was the Princess of Wales, having her multiple meetings throughout the day, different looks, and that's not their status anymore. A week ago, Meghan Markle was throwing jam at her neighbors.
A senior intelligence officer summed it up perfectly in an interview with The Nation Nigeria. They wanted the full royal treatment, but without the responsibilities or credentials. This wasn't a state visit, it wasn't a diplomatic mission. It was a high-profile, self-styled tour. And for many within Nigeria's leadership, it crossed the line from admiration to entitlement. Harry and Meghan didn't just visit Nigeria. They flew in with Netflix cameras, staged a made-for-TV goodwill tour, and flew out expecting head of state treatment. But this time, Nigeria wasn't playing along. This rejection isn't just about saying no to another visit. It's part of a broader move to shield national institutions from being used as backdrops for celebrity branding exercises. While the Sussexes posed for glossy, well-lit moments with a carefully selected few tribal leaders, many of Nigeria's prominent royal families were completely left out. No consultation, no invitations, and definitely no amusement.
Stop forcing young women to marry their creepy neighbors when they're 12 years old. Wouldn't that make more of an impact? I mean, they're just total virtue signals.
One aide to a Yoruba royal family later called them out, accusing the couple of royal cherry picking, staging meetings only with cooperative figures, while ignoring the proper cultural hierarchy and deeply rooted protocols. One royal insider didn't mince words, describing the visit as a mockery of true royal diplomacy. According to them, Harry and Meghan weren't interested in genuine cultural engagement. They were chasing the illusion of royalty, without acknowledging or respecting the institutions that give it meaning.
You don't want to be a royal and you don't want the duty and responsibility that goes with it, then please spare us all the performance art.
Behind the scenes, the backlash grew louder. Several tribal coalitions reportedly submitted private petitions to the federal government, urging officials to block any future visits from the Sussexes, unless they came through proper diplomatic channels, not as self-styled global royals, not as brand ambassadors, but as guests who respected the protocol. So this wasn't just a rejection, it was a full-scale repudiation. The message from Nigeria was clear. They saw right through the performance and weren't interested in playing along again. And this time, Nigeria didn't just whisper no, they said it loudly, proudly, and with unmistakable diplomatic clarity. But if Harry and Meghan thought this was just a bump in the road, they seriously miscalculated, because what came next wasn't quiet. It wasn't diplomatic silence. It was a full-blown thunderstorm of backlash.
Like, she gets this platform, she gets on the stage, and instead of saying, what a beautiful country you have, I'm so blessed to be here, I am courageous, I am brave, like, check yourself before you wreck yourself. You, lady, you sound crazy.
Criticism pouring in from every corner. Cultural leaders, global analysts, African royals, media watchdogs, all adding their voices to a rising chorus of disapproval. The narrative: this wasn't a goodwill tour. It was, in the words of many, a global vanity tour gone rogue. And the fallout from Nigeria? It's only the beginning. The consequences? They're rippling far beyond Africa, and they're only just getting started. Let's start with what Meghan Markle likely thought would be her shining moment, her big diaspora connection, a PR goldmine. After announcing to Nigerians that she was 43% Nigerian and calling the trip deeply personal.
The mother was born in America, the father was born in America, but Meghan is now telling us that she's 43% Nigerian?
This is the most ridiculous.
Meghan's team didn't waste time. They reportedly pitched a wave of follow-up projects, a documentary, a memoir chapter, and even Archewell-branded diaspora empowerment initiatives. But here's the reality check. None of it was endorsed by Nigerian officials or local communities. Why? Because the first visit came off as transparently self-serving. As Nigerian columnist Lou O.I. put it, they came with cameras, not commitments. They left with headlines, not partnerships.
Wealthy, privileged young couple from California come over because Meghan's done a genealogy and they're making a Netflix documentary.
This wasn't about building bridges. It was about building brand moments. So when the government said no, it wasn't about scheduling or logistics. It was about principle. This was more than just a declined invitation. It was a direct rejection of Meghan's attempt to commercialize cultural identity. Once the PR smoke cleared, the picture became painfully clear. Meghan was trying to turn Africa, specifically Nigeria, into yet another Archewell asset. But Nigeria wasn't buying in.
Meghan Markle was slammed relentlessly in the media for claiming she undertook a DNA test that proved she was 43% Nigerian and then referring to it multiple times throughout the trip.
For years now, Harry and Meghan have been on the hunt for what insiders are calling a soft throne, a place where they can play royalty without any of the responsibility. No protocol, no duty, just photo ops and influence. After torching their ties with Buckingham Palace, falling flat in Hollywood, and alienating a large portion of the US public, the couple looked to Nigeria as a fresh start, a blank slate.
Who is she kidding? She's as white as I am. And she's over there like leaning in. Now I'm the face of the black woman. Okay.
But Nigeria is no one's playground. Sources inside the Nigerian Federal Executive Council confirmed that this rejection wasn't impulsive. It was deliberate and coordinated. Multiple ministries, including Foreign Affairs and Culture, were consulted before the final decision was made. The message couldn't be clearer. Cultural identity is not for sale. The verdict? Unanimous. Nigeria would not be a stage for the Sussexes' symbolic imperialism. This wasn't just a quiet rebuke of their presence, it was a full rejection of their entitlement. The assumption that they could fly into another country, declare ancestral ties, and be embraced with open arms and camera crews. That idea was firmly and publicly shut down. One senior Nigerian policy analyst didn't hold back. They are not royalty here. They're tourists with a PR agenda.
But it's wild how much she is so confident in herself. I mean, basically what she just said was, I am courageous, I am brave.
Yeah, it's all about me.
And if that wasn't embarrassing enough, here's the kicker. The British High Commission, the UK's official diplomatic presence in Nigeria, had nothing to do with the Sussexes' first trip. It wasn't coordinated, it wasn't endorsed, it wasn't even acknowledged. In diplomatic terms, that's not just awkward. It's a glaring red flag. Their visit was entirely disconnected from the UK's official foreign policy channels, and that matters. Why? Because it made Harry and Meghan look like rogue actors, leveraging their former royal status to insert themselves into complex geopolitical spaces where they had no official role. No credentials, no backing. One former UK diplomat based in Abuja put it bluntly, the Sussexes acted as if they were on official business. They weren't, and everyone knew it, especially the Nigerians. And behind closed doors, there's growing chatter that British officials were quietly relieved when Nigeria said no to a second visit. According to one insider, the UK Foreign Office had already flagged the couple as a potential diplomatic liability, a PR crisis in the making if any Nigerian groups accused them of misrepresentation or overstepping. With neither the British nor Nigerian governments backing them.
Like, Meghan, you have a very privileged life.
Yeah.
We all get it. You're beautiful. You married a prince, but that's literally all you've done to when it comes to your accomplishments.
Right.
The Sussexes found themselves in the worst possible position, exposed, unendorsed, and unwanted. Harry and Meghan's global influence isn't just fading, it's unraveling fast. And while Nigeria was the flashpoint, this isn't just a Nigerian issue. Across the continent, there's a growing wave of resistance to what some scholars are now calling celebrity colonialism. The pattern? Wealthy Western figures parachute into African nations, deliver emotional speeches, snap headline-worthy moments, and leave. They take home social capital and camera-ready content, but leave behind little to no lasting investment. Nigerian author and sociologist Dr. Femi Dena didn't mince words in a recent televised interview. They come with entitlement, with no humility, and they expect the world to clap. That era is over, and he's not alone. Several Pan-African cultural organizations have issued formal statements demanding stricter protocols, clearer guidelines for how foreign public figures, especially those with former royal ties, should conduct themselves when entering traditional or diplomatic spaces. The message is unmistakable. Respect the culture, there or stay home. Some critics have gone even further, pointing to Meghan's Nigeria visit as a textbook example of Western opportunism, dressed up as cultural connection. It marks a serious shift. Where Harry and Meghan once counted on global goodwill to keep their struggling brand afloat, they're now running headfirst into a wall of skepticism, fatigue, and increasingly outright rejection. The Nigerian government's denial wasn't just a polite diplomatic no, it was the first domino to fall. What started as a glossy PR photo op has spiraled into a cautionary tale of diplomatic overreach, cultural insensitivity, and public humiliation. The rejection from Nigeria isn't just another headline, it's a turning point. And in our next segment, we're diving into the ripple effects, how this international fallout is shaking up Meghan and Harry standing in Hollywood, and why some of their biggest backers might be quietly stepping away for good. Don't blink, because the royal unraveling, it's just getting started. While Meghan and Harry were busy repackaging their Nigeria visit into potential content gold, think Archewell documentaries, memoir chapters, branded empowerment specials, one major player in their media empire was quietly backing away: Netflix. Despite the Sussexes' push to spin the trip into an inspirational Africa-themed feature, Netflix never made a move. No trailer, no teaser, no green light, and now we know why. Sources inside Netflix's original content division revealed the company grew deeply concerned about the backlash. There were red flags everywhere: legal concerns over diplomatic representation, questions about consent from Nigerian authorities, and most crucially, fears the couple may have misrepresented themselves as working royals or cultural ambassadors. One insider told Deadline anonymously it wasn't worth the risk. The brand hit would be too big. And just like that, the Sussexes' Africa narrative went from content opportunity to corporate liability. Even more revealing, Netflix didn't just shelve a documentary idea. They scrapped internal promotion plans that had already been tentatively approved for a Diaspora Dreams pitch, centered around Meghan's heritage reveal. The message couldn't be clearer. Netflix wants no part in another Markle controversy, especially one entangled in geopolitical backlash. And if Netflix, arguably their biggest supporter, is now backing away, that's not just a red flag. It's a flashing warning light. The foundation of the Sussex media empire is cracking, and fast. But it doesn't stop there. Industry insiders are noticing a chilling trend. Hollywood elites are quietly but deliberately distancing themselves from Meghan and Harry. One LA-based talent agent put it bluntly: people are tired of the drama. They bring heat, but it's toxic heat. Said, in an industry built on image, no one wants to touch a brand that's more associated with controversy than creativity. The sentiment is shifting. Prove you can build something, not just break things. Even Beyoncé's inner circle, who once warmly welcomed Meghan at the Cowboy Carter concert, has reportedly gone silent about any future appearances or collaborations. And it's not just the A-list social scene that's cooling off. A prominent publicist, once closely aligned with the Sussexes, has quietly shifted focus to other celebrity clients, stepping away from what many now view as a brand weighed down by controversy. But the final blow? It's coming from the boardrooms of Beverly Hills. Multiple brand executives are now labeling Meghan and Harry as uninsurable. In industry terms, that means too risky to pitch, too unpredictable to sponsor, and simply not worth the gamble to greenlight. Once seen as a power couple with global potential, they're now viewed, at least in some circles, as a cautionary tale in overexposure and underdelivery.